who should be successful, but what? They're not successful. Why?
So that's his why buy. But what is he afraid of?
My personal style of education, but still entertain them, bring them along with stories, right?
Who do we want to learn from? People who are what? Killing it. If you're a real man, what do you do? I'm not the only one.
You can't wait to tell your spouse. You can't wait to tell your colleague. You can't wait to go to work and tell somebody. And you're like, oh my God, I can't wait. So what happened?
If you haven't seen my TV show, you should get cable. That's what we need to do.
From doing a TV show to doing corporate events, I've been so lucky to connect with many passionate entrepreneurs worldwide.
What I've learned from a business perspective.
Because this is the formula for success, no matter who you talk to. Attitude will drive your behavior. Would you agree? And your behavior will drive your consequences every single time.
We got the concept. Okay, we got the concept. We got the equipment, right? We got the brand. You guys got that. And then again, we got the content that we create. That's the easy part. This is the big one, the big C, which is the commitment.
What should you do? That's right. All right. 10Xers, do not fail me. True test. Here it comes.
There's skill, and then there's will. Listen to what I'm saying. There is skill, and then there is will. And here's the interesting thing. I know a lot of people who have a lot of skill, but have no what? Will, right? You ever look at somebody who's successful, and you say, why them, why not you? Yes, okay, that's me too.
You have more control, but your costs are also going to be what? Higher.
Now, here's where some of the magic is starting to kick in.
You can talk to any CEO in the B2B business, any CEO. You walk into his office and they only care about 3 things. People too. Yeah, he with the suit, put it up. There you go. I hope you can see this. I'll try to draw big. Let's pretend for a moment that I had 7 territories. You remember I wrote that out? Yes or no? Boom. Territory 2, territory 3, all the way to territory number what? 7. So now I've segmented my market.
So content is going to start being created by machines. And I'm telling you right now that those people, you guys, the content creators that connect with people are the ones that are going to win. Some people think, well, it won't work for my industry. Really? It'll work for any industry. Trust me. The majority of the time when we're looking to fix something, repair something, or learn something, where do we go? YouTube. We don't even want to read anymore. We go to YouTube. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong.
When you're doing your thing, beautiful things begin to happen. It's like the law of attraction kicks in. You know what I mean? It's almost like you're in line with the universe. Everything works. And when you do your thing, everybody gets an automatic MBA, which stands for what? Mega Bank Account Money. Are you with me? So we don't want to do a thing. We want to do a what? Beautiful.
All right, put it all together for Victor Antonio. Here we go.
All right, there we go. I'm not here to mess around. You ready to learn, yes or no?
That's how it works in today's market. Whether it's B2B or B2C, you see the similar pattern. But how do you just, in other words, say you gotta start doing these things, pushing them, but also encouraging them. Oh, look at this. This is where it gets, dude, this is like so interactive with audiences, man. Can you imagine this with your customers? Check this out. Now, what does all this have to do with selling? It has everything to do with selling.
All right, welcome to another Sales After Dark, because money never sleeps.
I don't know about you, man, but I really love that intro, man. All right, if you're watching this on the replay, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to say hi to my folks here, about 5 minutes. Then I'm going to jump into content, about 15 minutes, and I'll take questions and answers at the end. So anyway, in the meantime, if you haven't visited the Sales Velocity Academy or subscribe with the little bell down there, you should do either or both. There you go. All right, let's see who is on the chat. We got Kush Patel. There he is. Good evening from Fremont. Kush, thank you for being here. Jefferson Rios. I love the first name. Jefferson, Nicaragua. ¿Qué tal, hermano? ¿Cómo estás? Brian Gator. There it is. Sales Velocity and Sales Academy. The 1-2 punch you need to blow away your competition. Thanks, Victor. And hello, everyone, including Pete in Cleveland. Let's see if Pete's on it tonight. And then with my girl, Mia Knox, West Coast in the house. Always glad you're here, Mia. Thank you. TJ, what's happening? Good morning from the Philippines. Master VA just woke up. Just for me, man. Thank you. Just in time for some kick-ass celebration. I love it, man. Trevor Taylor, Double T. Hey, Victor, I'm back even if it's 4 a.m. for me here, man. You're the man. Dude, where are you at, Trevor? Where are you at that it's 4 a.m., man? Want to hear? Let me know. Chris Stone. All right, man. By the way, Chris Stone is the guy who actually put together my intro, man. Look for castahead.net. That's his website, castahead.net, if you need some awesome stuff. Anyway, Brian Gator, man, it is time to do your thing. I definitely agree with you. Good to you guys. Hello, Pete. You guys just saying hi to each other. Sparrow's Tail, man. You're here. All right, man. I think you're going to like today's topic, man. And again, hello from Pete. Thanks for making these shorter. I don't know how to take that, Pete. I've been trying to make them shorter because I know people have to go to bed and do their thing tomorrow. So anyway, let's jump into the content here. So today I want to talk about, I was listening to a podcast and I was just reminded of something that we don't do. And I said, let me just start writing this stuff down and really talking about this is the topic for today, man. Sales autopsy. How or why did I lose that deal? Because there's a lot to be learned from deals that have been lost. And I think too often we as salespeople are afraid to go back and find out why we lost a deal. I mean, second to cold calling, I think that's the biggest fear, to make that call. Why did I lose the deal, right? It's hard to hear that, but sometimes it's necessary if we want to understand why we lost a certain deal. So what I want to do is I want to go through what I would do as an approach. So I actually wrote out the scripts for you guys, okay? So what I want to do is go through how I would approach going back to a customer after I lost a deal. So that's the frame, that's the scenario. Been working on a deal for a long time, lost it. Now, first of all, I have to explain to my boss why I lost it. But before you do so, maybe it's best to go find out from the client directly why you lost. And again, it's not a negative thing, because what we want to do is take that information to the next deal. If we don't know why we lost, then we don't know if it was us, was it the product, was it something else. But just taking time to go back and finding out could be very beneficial for you. So here we go. This is how I would approach a customer. So I thought I'd write out a script for you guys. And I think we're good on audio. Yes, we are. Like, I would start out with something like this. I know. So this would be my opening script. So again, this would be my opening script that I would call, right? I call the customer. I already know the person, right? So, you can make that call. They've informed you. So the script would go something like this. I know you, what? Decided to go with, let's say, competitor X, right? Competitor X, right? And that's that company right there. And that's cool. They've decided. So the first thing is, by using that line, I know you've decided. In other words, I know you guys have made a decision to go with my competitor, right? Then what you want to come back and do is, and I think this is important to say, I'm sure you're satisfied or happy with your decision. Now, this is important because you don't want to put them on the defensive, just say, look, I'm sure you're happy with your decision. That's great, right? You're trying to put them at ease. Because what we're trying to do is, we've lost a deal. I just want information to be able to what? Take to the next deal. That's what I want. So then the third part is, this is where you're asking for permission. Can I ask you just a what? Few questions. And the few questions is just to kind of help you, just a few questions, to better understand your decision-making process, right? So you want to make sure they understand the decision-making process. So I think this is a fair way of going about it. Now, you can come up with your own script, but
this is essentially it. One is, I know you decided, I got it. Two, I'm sure you're very happy and feel good about your decision. Now, the reason this one's interesting, by the way, there's a rule of consistency. For those of you who read Robert Cialdini's book, there's one of the laws of influence is consistency. That once people make a decision, they want to be in line with that decision. So there is no cognitive dissonance, right? That's another Sales After Dark episode. But basically, once they've said it, once they've made a decision, they want to feel good about their decision. For you to challenge them would be not smart, okay? I don't want to say dumb, but it would be dumb, but it's not smart. So don't challenge them. And the third part is really, it's more like, can you help me understand? Can I ask you? And again, I would phrase it this way. I love asking for help. Can you help me understand, what your decision process was so that I can learn from that? Whatever you need to do to kind of humanize it, to make you feel comfortable saying it, just take this general script and say, I would say something, can I ask you a few questions? Or can you help me understand a little bit of why your company made that decision? I just want to simply understand for my benefit going forward. And then you wait for them to say, sure, Victor, go ahead. Yeah, absolutely. I'd be more than happy to tell you. Or you can say, can I get 5 or 10 minutes of your time so you can just kind of walk me through your decision-making process? And again, you've already established that they made a decision, they're happy, just so I can understand going forward, going to another project, what I can do better. And believe it or not, the majority of people will say yes. Here's why I think they'll say yes, even more so. Because you've invested a lot of time, right? You invested a lot of time putting that deal together, and that said no. And as soon as somebody says no, they feel a little guilty. Right? They feel a little guilty because you've put all that time and effort. You did presentations, you did online demos, whatever it may be, and then they said no. So people feel a little bit of guilt, which means that's your opening to find out more information. So once they say yes, let's go, then let's go, let's ask. So then, here's the big question. What are the specific reasons you chose competitor X, right? Whatever your competitor X was. Why did you choose them? What are the reasons? What are the specific reasons? Now, that's one way of phrasing it. I just thought I'd give you the general phrase. I sometimes like to start out with these phrases, and the guys, somebody might say, well, there are a lot of different reasons. And if they say there's a lot of different reasons why we chose, you were good here, you were good in some things, but then I narrow it down. I said, well, can you give me the top 3 reasons? And then I said, can you give me the top 3 reasons why you did choose theirs over ours? Now, let me go slow here because this is really important. When I say, what are the reasons for choosing competitor X? Can you help me with that? And it goes, well, Victor, there's a lot of things that were going on. We had this, we had that. You had a great product. Your pricing was good. It was this and that. But, at the end of the day, we felt more comfortable going with right? That's not a real answer. But so then you kind of redirect. It's like lawyers. Redirect, Your Honor, right? You redirect the question. You go, let me ask it another way. I said, what were the top 3 reasons? If I were to ask you, Bill, Bob, Jane, what were the top 3 reasons you decided to go with them, right? And this will give you what you need. Now, when they do that, these 3 reasons are going to fall into 3 broad categories. But as you're listening to the answer, I want you to listen, but do not challenge them. The temptation's going to be, they're going to say something and you're going to say, well, that's not true, right? They're going to say, well, your product doesn't do this. Your platform doesn't do that. And your immediate reaction is going to be say, no, we could do that. Remember, you're in the listening phase now. You're done. You're done. You're listening right now. So you do not challenge. The thing is, the second one you want to ask for, it's like you want clarification. Again, this is what you're looking for. And this is where you're going to dig deeper. This is where you can start asking specific questions about whether it was the product, whether it was something else about the platform, whatever it may be. And then the last part, in your conversations with the client, it's okay to acknowledge. If you want to slide in that you did have something, for example, let's say that you're selling 3 lights, okay? You're selling a product that has 3 lights, right? And the customer says, well, the other competitor had the red light, had the yellow light, but you didn't have the green light. Now, instead of saying, yeah, but we do have the green light, it's too late. You say, you just say something, you acknowledge that you either missed, or you failed to actually give them that. In other words, basically what you're saying, you acknowledge, look, you failed, right? By failed, I would say something like this. I would say something to the customer. I said, look, yeah, we actually do have that feature, and I really failed to highlight that green light, and that's something you just given me, and I've learned that. Now, notice the way I said that. It doesn't put the other person on the defensive, but they now know that you did have it, right? So in the future, again, something may change. They now know that you did have it. But you have to acknowledge, I missed an opportunity to really elaborate on that. Or I really failed to highlight that we did do that. I want to thank you for that. And then people feel good about giving you feedback, because this is what we're looking for. We're looking for feedback. We've lost a deal. Because if you're in a B2B complex sale and it took 11 people to make that decision, which is what you're finding now, 11 decision makers in a big decision, you've lost the deal. So you're trying to find that one person who's willing to be open with you so you can take that information forward. So these are the rules. You listen, you don't challenge. 2, you ask for clarification. It's okay. Can you tell me more about that? Can you tell me why that was important to you? So forth and so on. And the last part, you acknowledge what you missed and what you failed. When you acknowledge what you missed and what you failed, I want to highlight this. This is your opportunity in a very polite way to inform the customer that you failed, to highlight that you did have that feature or you did have that capability. But it's a nice way of sliding it in without challenging them. Now, having said that, the customer's going to come back, one of the things you want to walk away with, what could I have done differently, right? What could I have done differently? But let me back up, because I want to talk about what happens when they come back and say, usually they're going to come back and say, what specific reasons did you choose the other customer? Now, there's only 3 options here, really. I mean, we can make it complicated, but there's only 3 reasons you lost the deal, right? Maybe 4. But let's go with the 3. The first one's going to be, they're going to look at your product, right? So the first one could be product, or, I don't know, let's go platform. If you're selling software, it could be a platform, right? And if you're selling a service, you get the deal. So you could be product or platform. Now, what you're looking for is you're looking for, was the product a fit and use? Okay, so these 2 things are important. I'll highlight why. Now, the reason fit is important because you want to make sure that your product aligned with their needs. That's the big one, right? But sometimes it's use. In other words, usability. My clients can use it. My frontline people can actually use. So sometimes usability, graphical user interfaces are important, things of that nature. So I would ask, they're usually going to say, well, Victor, it's a product issue. When we looked at your product, it didn't align with our needs. Or when we played with the demo, we just found it very cumbersome to use to try to get to certain reports. When we wanted to generate this on certain dashboards, we couldn't do that. So maybe ease of use was a big deal. So the first category is product, right? That could be the first category. The second category, which is the easy one, it could be price. Let's put it out there because it's a reality. It could have been price. You want to know what was the percentage difference between yours and the other competitors, right? If the products were one-on-one, lined up, you want to know. That's good information to have. Now, is this an excuse to say pricing is always an issue of why you don't sell? No. This is, if you're priced out of pocket, then you need to know. Let me say it another way. If you lost a deal because you were in the 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20% difference, then I would say that was more of a presentation issue, positioning value, which we'll talk about. But if your price was off by, let's say, 50%, well, something is wrong. There's an alarm that should go off in your head. You're like, 50%. So either they're not getting everything they were promised, or you're priced yourself way out of the market. And that's why they're not buying. So getting price information, percentage difference, can give us 2 types of information. How close were we, and what are the differences? Or are we so out of bounds that we can't compete? Again, it's good intelligence. The third one, I'll put it on the proposition, but I specifically mean value, your value proposition, which means that how you presented the value of the product didn't resonate with the client. You just didn't present the right value. You didn't position in such a way that they go, oh, I get it. I see why yours would be better. Now, the reason I said there might be 4 reasons is that the last one is purely, if I can add this one, and this one I can't substantiate, but the last one could be simply personality.
In other words, your personality didn't jive with theirs. Believe it or not, that happens a lot. Sometimes, again, you just don't line up. But I think the big three, product or platform, pricing, and then your value proposition. And I think most deals are lost here in the value proposition. But again, it's all about positioning. How do you position your product so your customer goes, I get it? Now, it's also important that you align the product on the fit side and the use side. And a lot of people don't think about this. We talked about this in many live streams ago, that sometimes they're good with the price. They're good with your value proposition. The problem is sometimes that I don't want to switch over, Victor. I'd rather stay with the incumbent. By incumbent, I mean I'd rather stay with the person we're buying from already. Even though I think yours is a little better, the cost of switching over is just too great. So here you have to talk about your product, but in your value proposition somewhere here you have to talk about the switch over. If they're buying from somebody else, that's a totally different sale. Now we have to figure out how do we make it easy for them to switch over. Said another way, when you lose a deal, you usually lose it on this scenario right here. But sometimes the other deal that you lose is to an incumbent, somebody who's already in the company, is working with the company, therefore they understand. And they're saying, you know what, I'd rather stay with what I know than go with something new. It's called status quo bias, right? People rather stay with what they know than switch over, even if you've shown them that your product value is a little higher. So, and we've talked about this in other live streams, how do you present to reduce resistance? So these are the three things you look for in that feedback. And again, stick to the rules. Again, don't challenge, ask for clarification. If they say something about, you know, their value proposition was better, can you help me understand what that means? Well, they were able to do this, that, and this. Well, okay, that's interesting. Can you explain how they propose to do that, how you're going to be able to accomplish that? And you're looking for information, but again, your tone has to be one of, I get it, I'm not trying to challenge that. You know, again, be very open and be very humble because you've just lost a deal. And then the big question at the end, here's the question I want you to ask. You could put the word we have done, what could we have done better? That's a beautiful question, man. That's a beautiful question. What could we have done better to serve you, right? And that'll give you information. Like they'll come back, let me walk through it again. They may say something about the product, right? Or the platform. They may say something about the price. You got that already, right? And they may say something about the what? The value proposition, the prop. Or sometimes it's all of it. It's the process. You know, they may say something like this. They say, Victor, I wish, if I may recommend, I wish you would spend more time understanding our business, discovery, right? I wish you would have spent more time questioning or asking questions to our frontline people who are going to use it. I wish you would have spent more time, whatever it may be. It'll give you some insight. And this is painful. I mean, this is really painful. Now, I want to highlight what's interesting about this question is, let me just kind of erase this for now. If I could just erase this. If you look at this question, if you take the we, this is how I would do it. I would actually ask the we, and then I would replace it with the I. Now, let me explain this. This is really interesting. And you can, if you do this, you'll understand. You'll see people's reactions totally different. When you first say, what could we have done better? People will give you general things you could have done better. What could we have done better? But then you look them dead in the eye, or look her dead in the eye, and you say, but what could I have done better? What could I have personally done better? And you'll get another set of answers. You'll get the broad ones on the we, but you'll get very personal, specific ones on the I. And that's what you're looking for. What could I have done better? What could I have done to position the product better? What could I have done to, let's say, position the platform in such a way, whatever it may be. But going from we to I is very easy to do. So keep that in mind, that is how you perform a sales autopsy, also known as a postmortem. You've lost a deal. Let's go back and figure out why we've lost these deals. My question to you is, how often have you gone back to ask your clients, why did I lose the deal? Sometimes we're like hurt, we're embarrassed, right? Or sometimes we're even angry, right? We go through this range of emotions like, after I spent all that time, all that money, all this effort, you're going to buy for what? Or you're not going to buy at all. That's the other one, right? They don't even buy at all. And by the way, that might be another way you lost a deal. I should highlight that. Status quo, no change, is losing a deal. You don't lose it to the competition, you lost it to no change. And by the way, when you lose something to no change, is it worth calling back and finding out? Absolutely. Mr. Customer, why did you decide to stay with the products that you currently have, or the product set, or the platform that you currently have? Can you walk me through the process? I'd really like to understand, right? And again, they're going to give you all the reasons you need to hear or learn about that may help you in the future. And again, what I would then do is take this information, whether I lost a deal to a competitor, whether I lost a deal to no change, I'm taking this information and I'm going back and looking and redoing my presentation. Now, for those of you who follow me on BAM, the Sales Velocity Academy, this is where the value-centric selling course is important. This is where the blocking objection course really is important. That's where you find that. And also, the sales conversations piece is definitely, you'll find those courses. Those are the 3 courses I would recommend if you're really focused in on going back and figuring out, why did I lose these deals? Now, as a salesperson, I'll wrap it up and I'll take some comments here. If you're a salesperson, here's why you should do it. The obvious reason is you'll learn from it. But 2, when your manager asks you why you lost a deal, now you're not guessing anymore. You're telling them, I talked to him, here's why we lost a deal. And the importance of that is twofold. 1, you're letting your manager know that you've taken the initiative to find out why you lost a deal. You've taken the initiative to find out why you lost a deal. The other part that's important is now you can share that information with marketing or product management. So here's why we lost the deal. Now you're bringing back intelligence. You as a salesperson are now adding real value to the actual product cycle or life cycle, because you're bringing back real information, G2, from the front lines back to the home office. If you don't do this, your boss is going to ask you, well, why did you lose the deal? Well, our competitor, they just didn't want to change. That's an easy answer. Anybody can give you that answer. It's a layup. But if you have some real answers because you've asked specific questions, and maybe it'll take some, you writing out 10 questions to ask customers once you've lost a deal and do a report. But again, the value, you want to bring value to your sales ability, your salesmanship, your professionalism. Find out why you lost deals. Share that with your manager. Share that with your marketing people and your product management team. Here's what's also going to happen. When you start bringing back information like this, they see you differently. Because they see that you're trying to learn, you're trying to grow. But more importantly, they see you, the salesperson. This is marketing, product management, your boss, and their boss's boss, the VPs of sales. So this guy understands why customers aren't buying, and you're bringing back information to help them grow their business. So you are now adding value as a sales professional, and that is important. On that note, that is it. That's what I wanted to talk to you about today. Sales autopsy. How do you go back and figure out why? Open it up, carve it up. By the way, can I tell you small stories? It's a true story. So Medtronic is a company that sells medical devices. And I went to do a presentation for them a couple of years ago. And I remember they said, hey, Victor, we sell specialized equipment for, it was their spinal, their back division. I forgot the name, but it has to do everything with the spine, right? And we want to show you some of our products before we actually do the training. To which I said, great, show me the products, right? And so, yep, I said, but we got to ask you a question. I said, what? I said, how queasy are you? I said, queasy? For my international people, queasy means like, your stomach gets like you want to throw up. How queasy do you get? And I said, I guess I'm not queasy. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, the products are in those 2 trailers, right? I said, yeah. I said, we actually have cadavers, dead bodies, in those trailers, right? It was refrigerated, of course. And so are you willing to go in there? And I'm like, you got dead bodies in there? Yeah. It says, we use them, as part of our, demonstration of products and things of that nature. And I'm like, okay, I guess we're going to go look at dead bodies. So I should show you the picture. Maybe the next one I'll show you the picture. But I suited up, got the mask on, the whole thing. I looked like a doctor going in. And they had 3 cadavers, 3 dead bodies in there. And they were showing how they come in from the front of the throat. I know this is gross, right? They come in from the front of the throat and they're actually making changes to the the spinal column here. Then they flip them over, and they got how they come in from the back, and then also how they come in from the lower back here, and how they replace the disc and everything, and the tools they use, the cameras they use to go in there. Oh, it was gross. But see, but the thing is, what am I going to say to the guy? What am I going to say to the people? I'm about to do a presentation to their team. They're going to ask me. I mean, the last thing I want them to go is, Victor wouldn't go into the trailer. What a chicken. What a coward. So I had to go in. I was like, too much peer pressure. But it was an interesting experience, okay? It was a very, very interesting experience, and that's my closest thing to an autopsy that I've gotten to. So anyway, on that note, I'm going to take some questions. And again, if I missed your question, don't take it personally. I got a lot of questions always coming in, and I'm looking at it right now going, I got a lot of questions coming in. So I'm going to just see if I can find a place to start. Let me see. Bob said, let's get amped up for Monday, man. Let's do this. Let's do this, man. Let me know what you think. Hey, Victor, Marcus in Houston, loving this, but as much as I love having a job where they appreciate the value I bring. I love that, man. That's cool. Gator, Sales Velocity Academy rocks. Again, the courses I pointed out really are useful. I wake up at 4 a.m. Okay. Love the podcast. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that. By the way, if you haven't checked out my Sales Influence podcast, you should. You go to iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube. It's now on Spotify and Pandora. Sales Influence podcast. Check them out. And I keep everything to less than 10 minutes, so we're going to go there. And we got a long one here that says, Lily Yaque, greetings from El Salvador. I admire you so much. Muchísimas gracias. What piece of advice can you give us sales agents who have been doing the sale for a couple of years in the same area? Well, I don't know. I mean, if you like it, stay with it. If you're making money, stay with it. If you know what I mean? If you're ready for a change, there's nothing wrong with that. Just remember, you don't have to love what you sell. You just have to love what it does for your customers. That's what I will tell you. Post-mortem analysis critical for gaining valuable information for the next RFQ from this client and others. You cannot expect different results by doing the same thing over and over again. Painful, but necessary. I think that's the tough part, man. It is painful, man. It really is, man. Ansley says, Auto, gold, man. Thank you very much. Herb says, my man Herb's always got something. Autopsy is a key step for salesperson betterment. It is sometimes an impossible step for company/employer betterment. Let me ask you an honest question. I want honest answers here. Don't tell me you do and you don't. How many of you in the last year, just the last year, have done, a sales autopsy, have gone back to a client, like literally had a real conversation, not just, hey, why did I lose? A real conversation. Give me a 1 if you've done so in the last year or so. I'd like to know who's doing it. Let me see. Brian says, price also equates to perceived value every time, man. Hey, Victor, welcome. Can't wait. Adewumi. I love that, man. Thank you for being here. Ansley, what do you got? How do you not price yourself out of the market and still not be the cheapest guy out there? It isn't so matter about pricing yourself out of the market. So let's answer the first one. How do you not price yourself out of the market? That's where your marketing people or you begin to figure out what people are bidding, right? That's the tough part. And I've gone through this, Ansley. Trying to figure out what people are bidding is really tough, but you can find the information. And you never want to be the cheapest guy out there because people go, well, why is he so cheap, right? It's almost like you want to position that somewhere in the middle of the pack. But again, I've sold with companies that we were the most expensive. We were the Maserati, and we were the ones to beat all the time. So I think you just have to do a little bit of research, ask around. But again, maybe use this strategy to go back and ask your clients. Yes, number 4, personality definitely can be a reason. Yeah, I've seen people lose, I've seen people say, I don't like this guy. I just don't want to buy from him. Now, I've actually had that. To be brutally honest, never really trust anybody who starts out with, to be brutally honest. In most cases here, it's who can offer more money, but to the decision makers. Sad but true. I worked in some markets where I know there was a lot of stuff going on under the table, but I'm telling you, there's always a way to figure that one out. How about what worked, what didn't, and what we could do better? Love it, Anthony. Very simple, right? What worked, what didn't work, and what could we do better, man? Hey, simple formula, Anthony. It could be any way you want it, man, so I love that. Making a change. Inherently have hidden costs for adapting and training a new product. There must be addressed by the salesperson in the value prop to eliminate the fear. I agree, man. I agree. We run into that in our business. Very rare. CF, where have you been? Victor, great Sales After Dark tonight. To move through this, you have to be humble and open.
I mean, that's the big one, CF, right? You just have to kind of like, just take it. That's what I'm saying. You got to listen and not challenge. I think that's the mistake we all make, to listen, not challenge. Let me get some other different comments. We got Doug Lehman coming in. Validation for CYA on deal losses in layman's terms. Yeah, it could be perceived as a cover your ass move. Not going to argue with you on that one, man. Cup of tea, man. Big thumbs up right back at you. Rod Vidre, always harassing me. Here it comes. Love it, Victor, as always. Perhaps a little off topic. Here it comes. Do you have any software tool recommendation for inserting a personal video into an email message? I don't know. Why don't you talk to Doug Lehman about that? Doug Lehman is the video selling expert, man. Hit Doug Lehman up with that. But, Doug and I had a chat today, and you can use video throughout the process, man. I would give Doug Lehman, DougLehman.com, a holla. Hamad said, I have, but not like this. That's honest, man. That's honest. I'm going to wrap up. Early in my career in B2B sales, we lost a sale, and my boss did a sales autopsy. I learned so much, man. Yeah. Camlish, let's see what you got. If competitor has good connection with customer at management level, will it come to understand the value proposition? If the competitor has good connection with the customer, yeah, I know, man. The thing is, when your competitor, right, has a better connection than you, then you need to figure out how to get that connection. And usually I had to use, for me, Camlish, sometimes I had to use my boss, and if my boss couldn't do it, I used to do my boss's boss. I brought in presidents and our CEO into a conversation because I know they had access at a high level. So in other words, I was talking at, let's say, at a director VP level, and my boss would connect with the CEO, says, hey, my guy Victor's trying to really work with your company. Can you give him an opportunity to come in and actually bid or present his product? So I've actually had CEOs actually help me. If you can find something like that, that'd be great. On that note, as I want to wrap this up and keep these tighter. Now, the sales autopsy, again, it's a great philosophy to really rethink why you lost. By the way, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. Like and share this video if you dig it. And we're on episode 68. We're getting to 100 people. And so, but in this case, what I want you to start thinking about is, in your sales process, where do you have that? And I'm not asking you to do this every week, but maybe once a month. I don't know. What do you think is reasonable? Once a month, twice a month? Let's just say once a month, you call and find out why you lost a deal. And I think the real value, besides everything I explained right now as far as how do you do it, you can figure out how you want to ask the questions, how you want to bring up the issue, the clarifications. But I think, as CF pointed out, you have to be humble, as a good reminder, and just accept what they're giving you. But also keep in mind that we as salespeople need to create a different type of value within our organization. And that part of our responsibility is to bring back intelligence from the field back to our organizations so they then can develop better products or service. Look, if you sell a product or service today and all you do is complain about, yeah, our product managers never develop something we can sell. Well, the question is, are you bringing back intelligence, valuable intelligence, for them to actually justify building a new product? Something to keep in mind, and something I think that's really important. So on that note, I want to thank you for joining me on this Sales After Dark, because money never sleeps. We will see you on Tuesday. Thank you. And as a reminder, remember, selling ain't hard when you know how. Take care, guys. We'll